Thank you to our sponsors for today's video, Nokian Tyres, Amber, and StarCharge. Nokian Tyres is a leader in safety and sustainability. Maximize performance and efficiency with their made in USA all-season tires and their dedicated Hakkapeliitta EV winter line from the inventor of the winter tire. Learn more at nokiantires.com/EV. This video is also brought to you by Amber. Amber offers a modern extended warranty for your Tesla's battery and more without the burden of long-term contracts or upfront payments. Check out the link in the description below to browse their plan options and get started with a free over-the-air diagnostic check. This video is also brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Let's say you have a family and want to drive an electric car. We are going to be evaluating that exact scenario. We have all of the best family electric cars on the market. We have the Kia EV9, actually two of them. We have two Rivian R1Ss, one with actually some cool modifications to make it better for a family. We have the Mercedes EQS SUV and the Tesla Model X. These are only, or I should say, these are the only electric vehicles available with a usable third row at the time of this recording. There's some new electric vehicle big ones coming on the market, Escalade IQ, Lucid Gravity, some other ones, VinFast VF9. But for right now in 2024, these are the only usable third row capable electric SUVs on the market. And my friends Nick and John have brought their car seats and kids along with them to help me evaluate anything family related. I know how to go sideways, but I don't know really much about kids, so that's where these little ones will help us with this review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll be looking at each of the cars in criteria that matters: climate performance, ingress, egress, third row, durability of materials, so much more. So let's get into the family usability of all of the big electric vehicles on the market. I want to say a huge thank you to Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund for sponsoring this Out of Spec video. Guys, we work with them every year and they have a really cool raffle where they give away an electric car, except this year they're giving away two electric cars out of a single raffle. 7,000 available slots for two EVs to give away is something I've really never heard of. Best chances of winning ever. And the prizes are really cool. So you could have the option to win if you get the top first place, a Rivian R1S like this one here, a Tesla Cybertruck, a Rivian R1T, or a Tesla Model X Plaid. All awesome vehicles. We've reviewed all of them if you're curious about that here on this channel. The second place prize, first time ever they'll have a second place prize, is a Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is also a really cool electric vehicle. So all you need to do to enter to win is to go to evraffle.org. There's only 7,000 available tickets, like I mentioned, so definitely get in on the action. Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund is a leading nonprofit organization fighting climate change and working on decarbonization. We love working with them every year. Again, a huge thanks to CCAN for sponsoring this video. Head to evraffle.org to enter for your chance to win a really cool electric vehicle. We've actually done a video, what prompted all of this, with you guys, your three kids, in the R1S when it first came out. We had one of the very first ones on the market, and you guys actually ended up buying an R1S after making that video with our test car, which was really cool. I'll leave a link to the full R1S family review in the description of this video. So of course, we're going to have the R1S on the channel. We also have our Kia EV9. This is the one that was loaned to us from Fort Collins Kia. It is the standard base spec, but still captain's chairs and some other nice things. And then Nick, we did a video with Nick as well, bought his Kia EV9 from Kia Fort Collins. We like to support the people who support Out of Spec. And this is his fully spec'd GT line. It's kind of cool that we have the base and the maxed out trims here. Nick, your impression of EV9 for families, just really quick. You have a small child. What do you think?
I mean, we only have one child so far, and just the fact that I can sit in the passenger seat like in front of my child in the second row is just out of this world. The space you have in this car is just amazing. Like trunk space, everything is just, you can throw the stroller in, no problem. Like it's just space for days for kids and all that. So again, we only have one kid, so
Yeah,
we'll
well,
see.
we'll put John's family in here as well and see how they do. But my initial impression is this is just totally built for families, and maybe we'll see if that's true or not throughout the video. We have a Tesla Model X. The Tesla Model X can be had in 3 seating configurations, a 5, 6, and 7 passenger. Right now I don't have my phone on me, but I'll unlock it in a bit. It also has the most unique door situation, which might be beneficial to families. You won't get wet. Putting in a car seat with the Falcon Wing doors could be kind of interesting. If we come around this side as well, I have another Rivian R1S. This is the test car Rivian sent us, and this one is actually fully stock. So unlike John's car, it doesn't have the modification. And then if we run down this way, we have the Mercedes EQS. And the Mercedes EQS can be had with a 3rd row, of course. And so all of these vehicles are truly the only large electric vehicles available with 3 rows of seating, which I think is important for families. And also, you know, there's others out there. There's like Tesla Model Y, but you really need small kids to fit in the back. There's the Mercedes EQB. Maybe there's a couple others that I'm forgetting at the moment, but ultimately in terms of big family haulers, this is all we have at the moment. And I would actually argue none of them are big enough. I think we need a suburban electric. What do you think, Nick?
I would say so, yeah. Like just more, when you have the 3rd row up, more trunk space even, right? Like really to get some luggage in and stuff, that even with like an EV9, you have a little bit of space, but not for like luggage and a stroller and all that stuff. That's still, I think that's where a Suburban or an Escalade would even offer more space.
Yeah, and then, you know, on top of that, none of these have sliding doors like a minivan or something. So Volkswagen ID Buzz is going to bring the van lifestyle in the 3 row. So it just seems like this large, I guess when electric vehicles came out, a lot of them were Model 3s, Volts. They were like these small economy, you know, city cars. And now that we're getting into like actually big batteries, long range, great charging infrastructure, we're going to race all of these to Las Vegas to see which is the best road tripper as well, because I think that's important for the family road trip.
Sure.
And it just makes for interesting content if it doesn't matter to you. I mean, like you charge at home 99% of the time. Who cares how fast the car charges? But it's nice. So yeah, having a van is going to be epic with ID Buzz, but then might feel a little bit outdated by the time it comes to our market. It seems a little bit behind the times. So anyway, what we should do, it's really hot out here. I don't want to make this a super long video. I think we should evaluate first the space. How does it work for getting kids in and out? What are the 3rd rows like? I do have to make a note. I thought we were getting a 3-row Mercedes EQS. They only sent us a 2-row, but the 2nd row is the same. And the Model X is also just a 5-seat. I tried to have my friend bring his 6-seat Model X by. Timing didn't work out. We did the best we could, but we'll still be able to look at, you know, sort of 1st, 2nd row cargo space. Imagine what a 3rd row could look like. We have clips of other 3rd rows, like in Model X and EQS. I've sat in the 3rd row of EQS. It's pretty roomy. And then we'll get into like climate, USB ports, cup holders later. I just don't want the kids burning up in the heat. Yeah. I don't know what happens to kids in the heat, but I think probably not good things.
Yeah, it does get pretty hot.
Okay, so let's start with the Rivian, since that's the most, I would say, the first one that we did the family review on, and then we'll get into everything else. So let's get John on camera with his family and talk about how they use their Rivian R1S. John, this is your Rivian R1S quad motor.
Yes.
And we did the family review. You've had an R1S on reservation for a long time. Can you talk to us briefly at just what your ownership's been like? What do you like? What do you dislike?
Yeah, so we got it in September of last year. So I've had it almost a year. As far as ownership, we only had one major service issue, and that's our Bluetooth module failed.
On my truck.
Yeah,
no
so
way. Yeah, okay.
And you know how well the key cards work.
Yes, not well.
Which of course they fixed for Gen 2, it sounds like. So, but beyond that, service and reliability has been really good with it. The only issue we've really had with the family is just getting kids in and out, especially when you're doing that a lot. And so we actually just took a trip, went to Manitou, Colorado Springs, Dillon, Steamboat, and we modified the car a little bit to make that easier, and it worked out really good. And I think we're just going to leave it that way for a while.
Nice. Yeah.
Because we don't need the extra seat.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to showing everyone that. Can we start by showing the cargo space?
Yeah.
So let's pop this thing open then. So the problem with the R1S, maybe it's a problem, maybe it's not. It's actually built on a shorter chassis than the R1T.
Right.
So the R1T is like 14 or 16 inches longer, which if you guys look right over there, we have an identically spec'd R1T sitting right there, and it's significantly longer with that bed. And what I don't understand is why Rivian made this shorter. It rode worse, like the suspension on the Gen 1s weren't great, and you just have much less space. What would be your opinion on the size difference?
So short wheelbase is a little bit more compact, a little bit more nimble, easier to park, things like that. It's definitely not an expedition as far as space. As you can see, we got a car seat or a stroller here just to kind of showcase how tight it is. There's still the under storage down there, but this is about as big as you're going to fit back there.
Yeah, can we open it up? I want to show the underfloor storage here really quick, if that's all right.
Yeah.
And we can always show it on the other one too if this is full. So if I pull this up, actually, yeah, so this is kind of nice for just storing some items.
Right.
But you still don't have the depth here.
Right. And then the other thing is, like, so on our trip, we had a bunch of stuff down there, swimsuits and toiletries and things like that. But we also had the suitcases up here. So anytime you wanted to get something out there, you basically had to take the suitcases out.
Yeah, pull everything out.
Yep.
Okay, that's annoying.
So, I mean, yeah, the space benefit would be nice with another couple inches, 6 inches, I think.
Yep.
Something like that.
Let's look at the front trunk too, because this is the largest front trunk of the bunch.
Yep, and I have.
The Mercedes doesn't even actually offer a front trunk, which is crazy.
And the base thing's out right now.
Oh, okay, yeah, so the
it's
divider.
completely flat.
Yeah, but this is nice.
Yes.
This is really great. What I don't understand, like, just speaking of front trunks, the F-150 Lightning has an awesome front trunk. Why don't they just build an Expedition on that platform?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I definitely like the F-150's loading ability, because when you got a big cooler or something that you put in here, you got to lift way over. It's not the end of the world, but
yeah, this is still great. Tons of room.
Yep.
And so, do you use the front trunk often?
Mm-hmm. Yep. We had cooler and tent and all sorts of stuff in there on our trip.
Okay, so that's sort of the storage on the outside of the R1S. Just briefly, because I think a lot of moms and dads who have families probably care about cargo or like storage cubbies and stuff.
Right.
And so Rivian has these side pockets, which are great. They also have small little cubbies underneath the front seats. And then they have this awesome sort of center open area that you like, don't go around the corner too fast. Stuff will go flying. But what's your impression of like the little cubby holes, the cup holder things? Because there's only 2 cup holders up front.
Yeah, so we haven't had a big issue with it. I think it's more of an issue back here once the kids are a little older. But right now their car seats have cup holders, so it's not the end of the world. But the one thing I really like is that center console area is like an ice box. So if you need to get something really cold, you put it in there.
Oh, I didn't even know that. So they have an air vent piped in there.
I don't necessarily think it's the air vent that's piped in there, but there's either air leakage or it's because the air vent that goes to the back leaks into there. But that is like probably one of the coldest places in the truck.
Okay.
When you have the AC on.
So sandwiches, waters.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Okay, I had no
it's
idea.
super deep, so we use that a lot for snacks and things.
Should we show everyone your modification?
Yep.
I think we're all anyone watching this is familiar with R1S. Pretty big rear door, by the way, opens up pretty wide. No seat. What's up with this?
Yeah, so we took that out because it makes ease of loading really easy. It also provides baby changing area. It was super easy to remove. There's realistically no alarms that go off or anything when you do remove it. And it just makes, obviously, getting the kids buckled up is super easy just because I can get right in here and I'm not stretching past the seat or trying to like do this weird stand here and reach way in or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we did it for our trip, and we don't have people with us that often, and so we're probably going to leave it that way just because it's super convenient.
I think this is cool. I had no idea you did this, and I was just like,
so you can actually remove it either the 2/3 or the 1/3, either way. If you leave the 2/3 and remove the 1/3, the middle seat's still not usable because the seat belt stays on the 1/3. That's where it bolts in. So I mean, we ended up doing it this way, but works out great. We had snacks here. We had a little like we ate lunch here. The kids loved it.
Can we show the standard bench
Yeah,
so
definitely.
people can get an impression? And I know we already have some jungle gym action happening over in here. It can see through. By the way, really nice dark tint from the factory on the back, which is great for cooling.
So you can see there's, even if you put it this way, you're still limited on how far you can go. And if you if you put it up and do it this way, you're still fighting this opening to try and mess with car seats. So it's, like I said, for us, it made a lot of sense to just remove it, especially with our trip.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Now we're just going to leave it that way.
Okay, maybe you should like make like a 3D printed kit to cover up the little bolt holes or something. Because we should pull up the carpet on this so we can show everyone what that kind of looks like. Another thing to ask about is, I'm not sure what kids like. USB-C ports are everywhere in this truck. I don't know if that's a benefit to you or not.
So we used their tablets and did that. So realistically, underneath the carpet is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, 5, 6 bolts, and and because you got to remove this is where the seat belt for the center seat is. Okay. Bolted right there, and then you just have one electrical connector.
And no fault codes pulling it off.
No fault codes. Yep.
So, okay, that's really cool. Love that idea. And in terms of ISOFIX points and fitting 3 car seats across the middle, is that possible with the bench in there? I think we talked about it in the full review.
Yes. So you don't have the middle seat doesn't have the latch or the.
Oh, so it's only 2 in the second row.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you still have the back seat part that you can strap it across. So I mean, it's realistically you could, but it's tight. You'd have to have the right kind of car seats to do that. And then at that point in time, you don't have a third row, but that would give you more storage. So it's kind of how you want to do it.
And the
having 3 kids right next to each other always isn't the best idea.
Okay, these are the things I have no idea about.
Especially with the younger one, usually falls asleep more, naps, versus the older ones.
So you put the older ones in the back and the younger one up front.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. We're going to do a whole car seat segment later on in this video to show how they all fit and everything. 2 last questions. Rivian recently updated the center screen with some like trip distance stuff. You can now control the second, and in this is both of these are Gen 1 R1Ss. Gen 2 will be largely the same, but they get heated third row seats in Gen 2. What do you think about that software package? Do the kids even look at that screen? Do they use it?
No,
doesn't matter to them.
They're not old enough. They don't really ever use it.
Okay.
So they can see that there's a song playing, but that's about it. So.
And how about the climate performance? There's, at least right now in Rivians, and this will actually get fixed through an over-the-air update, there's only a dual zone climate, which is left and right side.
Right.
And in just, I think, a few weeks, even the Gen 1 and Gen 2 vehicles will get a tri-zone. So you'll have a separate zone for the rear. And then the third row vents, Coleton, if you could show those vents back there, those are just basically an auxiliary fan picking up the cold air from up front and pushing it to the back. So climate is hugely important to us as dog owners. I imagine to kids so they don't burn up. What's your impression of the climate? And actually, before you answer that, maybe we can jump in the front seat really quick. I'd like to show everyone how you can adjust it. So feel free to talk on climate.
Yeah, so as far as the climate goes, the keeping the kids cool in the back isn't a big deal in the summer because of the fan. The problem is more so the kids in the back in wintertime because the fan just blows air and it's cold air.
Oh.
So heat is more of a problem than keeping them cool.
How about that? Didn't even know.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, they are still in love with their blankets. So we just right now they have their blankets and we don't make sure we don't have the fan blowing back there until the cabin's more warm.
And then it pulls that warm air and brings it back. I'm trying to think how Tesla does it because with Model X, they also get an auxiliary rear seat, rear cooling system with 6 and 7 seat passengers. And I think they tap into the temperature unit of the vehicle. I don't think it's just a pickup in those.
Okay.
So it seems like maybe Rivian Perhaps on Gen 2 that's solved because they did rework the thermal systems with the heat pump no longer having that super loud AC chiller buzzing the cabin we've talked about.
Yep.
So this is the older software, by the way. I'll show everyone the newer software in the other R1S. And so this one basically, you know, will allow you to move the vents around, allow second row face and feet for putting the vents on, and then of course just that air pusher, and you can adjust the fan speed from here.
Yep.
So this seems to work pretty well, I would say.
Yep.
Let's jump into the other R1S and show the new software.
Okay.
And then we'll move on to the other cars.
Sounds good.
So this is the R1S, same generation, almost identical to your car, except this one has a little bit newer software on it, which your vehicle will get, honestly, maybe today or tomorrow.
Okay.
And so the climate view looks fairly similar, except you're now just going to be able to adjust with a little bit different UI, and you can click the rear vents on with this. But essentially, the only last points on climate in R1S are there's no keep climate mode. So if you are to exit the vehicle, you have to go into pet comfort.
Yep.
Which
we did that all the time.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
But the problem with pet comfort is it only lets you go down to 68, which is just a bit too warm, I think. So what we end up doing is going into show and tell mode, which leaves the vehicle completely on. You uncheck limit climate performance, and then you can just leave it ripping the whole time. So and you can adjust any temperature you want. Rivian claims a keep climate mode is coming soon.
That'd be nice.
I don't know why it's so hard to just have a button to leave it on, but eventually that will come. So I would say the 3 rows of air vents, the USB-C ports, the size of this, your final impressions on what you think of this as a family vehicle before we move on?
Yeah, so it works really good. The main reason I bought it was partially because of off-roading. If that wasn't important, I think there's a better choice. We'll get to that.
What is it?
The
EV9. Okay. Yeah, I kind of think that's going to be the winner here. So we'll touch on EV9 last, so we can compare it to everything. Let's move on to the Tesla.
Okay.
This is the Tesla Model X, and it was, I think, the first 3-row electric SUV on the market. And there's some really unique advantages to having the Model X. Some people like the doors, some people dislike them, but this is clearly a differentiator in the space for ease of access. You know, just talking to John about getting into the 3rd row and around some things, to me, this just seems like you have so much more room. These open up in a really tight parking space. I think they're kind of annoying and ostentatious on a daily basis, but it might be good for families. What do you think, John?
Yeah, because you're not fighting the door. So I still think this is very tight.
Yeah,
Just
the height
because
back
it's
there.
so sloped when you compare it to the EV9 or the R1S, even the EQS. But obviously there's a lot of area to work with, especially with loading codes. So.
Yeah, so there actually is a button on the back here, at least in the 5 and 6 seat versions. Yeah, so this is the problem. We need to find more viewers with more Model X's with 6 and 7 seats. This was literally the only one we could find. Shout out to Thomas for letting us use his Model X. But I think a lot of our viewers are familiar with the 6 and 7 seat options on newer Model X. These kind of just slide forward, very similar to R1S, or can be folded down, very similar to your car as well. And I think here, same thing, you have 2 ISOFIX points. So we'll put some car seats in here in a little bit for, on the left and right, nothing for the middle, although we should open up the trunk. Let's take a look at the space and see if they have that latch point back there. So it doesn't seem like it does, because I see
one all the way down there, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they all do.
Cool. And then the space back here, you know, basically this area is where the 3rd row would come to, and then you have just this, but then you have literally this much height to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely the most limiting of the group, I think, and as far as height. I don't know a whole lot about the EQS. Well, that actually,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
We'll figure that one out next. This goes really deep.
Yeah.
You also have, this one has the subwoofer here, but this one has a really deep storage cubby over on that left side, which is really great.
See, that helps because of the limited height, how deep it goes, and also how wide it goes. Because with like the Rivian, it goes deep, but it's limited in width. I think you'd still be able to fit car seats back here, no problem, just because of how deep that goes.
Like a stroller situation. Can we grab your stroller? Can we see if it fits back here?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'm going to pull this divider out. No need for it, really. Are you going to kill me if I lean this up here, Colton?
Pretty much.
Okay. And, you know, again, this one being the 5-seat, I don't want to use the extra storage space down there. But wow, that fits great, actually.
Yeah, that actually fits pretty decent.
As long as the rear seats actually, you know, this is representative of that.
Yep, that's the exact cutout space.
Okay.
The only thing is they might lean back.
Yep.
I think following this line here is probably about where the back of that seat sits there,
Yeah.
if I can remember.
So you might have to, I mean, on this one, you would probably have to remove that, but that's not the end of the world, just so you could tip it this way a little bit. But yeah, obviously it fits.
That's the one thing with Tesla is their power electronics, their motors, everything is so small that they really do give you like a huge cabin for the appearance of the vehicle. Because no question, this is the smallest one here. It's the most sloped. It's also probably going to be the most efficient. There's other benefits for having a shape like this. But let's show the front trunk. Let's run around and I'll pop this open. I should have the car in my app. I like how Thomas named it Grandpa's X. So Coleton detailed this car. This is hugely wide, maybe not as deep as your Rivian.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, not as deep and not as tall, just because of the slope here to here.
Yeah.
But still plenty usable. This is probably one of the more nimble, I would say, when parking. I would assume.
Yeah, I would say.
But yeah, still plenty of room.
You could also get 1,000 horsepower in this, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can in Rivian down.
Rivian now you can too, once they release it next year.
And then our EV9 has 201 horsepower, moving, I don't know, 6,000 pounds or whatever it weighs. Okay.
Well, I mean, horsepower really, for most people, isn't
Doesn't
what
matter.
it's not what they care about. I mean,
But if you
part
have
of the
to get
reason
the kids
that
to school,
yeah, part of the reason I bought that is the horsepower and the off-road ability. But again, that doesn't factor to most people,
of course.
which is why I think the EV9 is probably where most people will end
And
up.
actually, Nick's EV9 is not slow. I mean, we'll do more comparisons on all of these, but you have over 500 horsepower, right?
It's at
30? 530?
something like
Yeah.
No, that's not slow.
It's not slow. Yeah, it's our EV9 is slow. Let's talk front seats. Actually, would you mind hopping into the driver's side, just
Sure.
because it's been a little while since I've been in the Model X. So you have the auto front doors, which are coming through a software update, as with most things with Tesla. You know, of course, this big windshield's cool. I don't think it really benefits a family setting that much. In fact, it might actually hurt with some thermal stuff. What's your impression of that?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it.
Okay.
I think some people it may help out with road, like car sickness, maybe, or it might make it worse. I'm not sure. I don't get sick, but my wife does. So I'm not a huge fan, but
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of, you know, it is what it is with Model X, of course. The one thing I will say is on newer Model X, they've added door pockets. The early ones, I think, didn't have them, which is crazy. And then you do have some nice, like, center storage. You know, you can put some things down in here. You've got another cubby. You've got a cover. You've got your cup holders.
phone charger that actually works.
Yeah, a pretty decent-sized center console in here, Coleton, if you could show there. Unlike the Rivian, this one actually has a glove box, believe it or not. But so it's got a little thing there.
Yep.
No, you know, seat components though.
That's what I end up using. All the stuff I would put in a glove box actually ends up in those little cubbies underneath the seat.
Yeah,
So
like registration and
Yep.
other stuff like that. Totally agree. You know, from my side, it's still pretty Spartan in here. I like how you have your wireless phone chargers. You can fit a water bottle in the door pockets, which in the Rivian is my biggest issue. Because the pockets flap open and my typical water doesn't fit in there. I think for most people it probably does, but what's your impression of
yeah,
that?
so the water bottles I've used, they aren't huge, so they fit in the door pockets fine. And also, if you just get like bottled water, you can put a couple in there. Actually, we did that on our trip. So I haven't had issues, but I have smaller water bottles. I don't have the big old Nalgene monster ones.
Yeah.
And if you had those, it definitely wouldn't work well.
So
Or you'd hit it with your foot, I feel like.
I would say the key advantage to the Tesla over the others, like beyond, you know, some space and storage cubbies and stuff, is the thermal system. This has the strongest HVAC, the most efficient HVAC, I would say, based off of my testing. And it has, you know, a keep function for climate. So it has dog mode. You've got, heated seats for every seat in the vehicle, which now Gen 2 R1S has. EV9 actually, I don't think heats the third row, but they actually get cooled second row seats, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So there's like some things, but in terms of if you live in a really cold place or a really hot place, this is the thermal system I would trust.
Yep.
It's just works every time, super quick to cool down, pretty quiet, and of course I can adjust all of the zones and even have a separate rear zone compared to the front, which is really nice to have as well.
And there doesn't feel like there's a lot of heat coming from the glass, which is probably the biggest issue I have with the Rivian, is you have to tint the front windshield, I feel like, or at least put ceramic on it, because the amount of heat that comes in through the front windshield is atrocious.
Yeah, Model X is pretty good, but I still would recommend to get... I'm just a fan of ceramic. I just don't like the heat coming into the car.
That's
so
fair.
Just always tint everything, basically. It doesn't need to be dark, just for heat rejection.
Right.
So Model X is a family vehicle. The initial take is probably the smallest, but also, if you don't have a huge family with a lot of stuff, I think this, from a charging perspective, using the superchargers, just from an ease of family lifestyle, this can really fit in nicely, of course, with the best app integration and all that stuff as well.
And if you want to stay with the Tesla ecosystem, obviously.
Yeah, a lot of people already have Teslas. Model 3, Model Y, hugely popular. This is a very logical step up from a Model Y into a Model X.
Yep.
And there is significantly more room in X than Y, I would say. Let's go to the Mercedes EQS SUV. This is kind of the wild card here because most people probably, I think in our EV sphere, John, maybe you'll agree, this is not a car that is top of mind very often.
No.
And I think it kind of should be. The thing is, it's not much more expensive than a new R1S. So this one's 100 grand.
Okay.
Which a new Gen 2 R1S, like a nice one's 100 grand.
Yeah.
So we're in the price category. We're not too far off.
Some of us got lucky with pre-orders.
Sure, exactly. So, I think certainly, this is going to have pretty big depreciation. All of these vehicles will. This is an expensive one. But this has a huge trunk.
Right.
And keep in mind, this one, again, unfortunately, doesn't have the third row. But the third row comes to here.
Okay. So
it's
it's
that
probably
split.
got the smallest trunk, actually, even more so than the Tesla.
Maybe. I think perhaps you could be correct. This is really weak back here.
Yeah, it's because of that not going as deep. This definitely has the smallest trunk.
Yep, I would agree with that. If this went just as deep and just as wide as Tesla, that would be good, but for sure, smallest trunk. The other thing is you cannot open the front trunk on this. I mean, you can if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Anything can be opened.
That's just Mercedes.
Yeah.
They don't want you to touch their own cars. They don't want anybody to work on their own cars. So that's just their deal.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I do too. You can get it open, but there's nothing under there, so there's no space. So usable space in this one is obviously, I think, the least out of the bunch.
Yeah.
It is obviously the most luxury.
Yeah.
Those seat pillow or head
the
pillows already look nice.
Yeah. So I think let's just go up front. We'll show everyone really quick just how huge this front area is with no opening, which I think is. I'm not here, Mr. Front Trunk, but with a family, I think a front trunk is really great just to like put all of your crap under there. And unfortunately, the Mercedes engineers clearly did not make that a priority. Yeah. There is a way to open it. There's like a little screw you undo and then you can pull the tab and this goes straight up, which is kind of cool. But like you mentioned, there's nothing under there to the point where they even want you to refill your washer fluid on the side here, which is hilarious. That's your washer fill location. So,
and I think if we didn't have the front trunk, we'd want a long wheelbase of the R1S.
Yeah.
Because we use that so much.
So you came from a Honda Odyssey.
Right.
Do you still have that actually?
Yeah, we still have that.
Okay.
That's the second vehicle.
What do you find yourself using more?
I never drive the Honda.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that's just the wife's vehicle.
Okay, nice. But with the kids, this is the one you take when you go on a trip or whatever.
Yeah, so depends on if we have people coming with us or if how much stuff we're taking or where we're going. Then sometimes we'll take the Honda, but a lot of times we take this because we have solar and all that, and it's basically more or less free. Plus I can charge it at the shop.
Yeah.
So we take this a lot of the time just because it doesn't cost us anything really.
And would you agree that there's no EV still as capable or family friendly as a minivan?
Correct.
Yeah. When are we
They-
going to
it-
get one of those?
Yeah. Efficiency-wise, it can't be much worse than
Probably better,
this.
actually.
I mean,
They're going to be low.
the big thing's the doors. Just
Yeah.
the door opening. You just can't beat that with ease of access because of the way the door system works. I understand people don't like it, but it's super convenient. It's the easiest one to load kids in, junk in.
What
It's-
about ID Buzz, maybe?
Maybe.
Okay.
I haven't
That's
seen.
got the
I've
sliding
actually
doors.
never seen one in person.
No, they're not here in our
Yeah.
market yet. So hop in the driver's seat of this one. This has the main benefit of the EQS, I think, is this is truly an S-Class level vehicle. We are talking big, beefy, comfortable massaging seats, which a lot of moms, a lot of dads want ultra luxury, and you're definitely going to get that here.
This is
You've got
nice.
storage components. So, just to point out those, you've got literal water bottle cutouts in here, huge storage, in that center as well. 100-watt USB-C ports, 6 of them in this vehicle, which is way better than the 15 or 25 in the Rivian. There's really no way to leave climate on in here. So like a lot of the cool EV stuff, dog mode, pet comfort, all those things, you don't get that with this vehicle. It's very traditional in that sense. But your initial impression sitting in here, what do you think?
It's it's very luxury. I do really like this. I wish all EVs came with these, just because sometimes the sun, even with tint and the coatings, that they put in the glass to stop the rays, this still is super nice. It's one of the things that people do in the aftermarket all the time is put in, visors to cut down that heat gain. So I really like this. It feels small because of the way the screen is in this, but it definitely feels like a cockpit. So I can understand that. These are super nice.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people with ultra luxury,
Yeah.
coming from, maybe a Mercedes GLE or something, want to move into a 3-row electric. This is a clear next step. Stay in the Mercedes family. There's some great tech, great functionality, great road trip ability with this vehicle. Just to check in here, what's that looking like in there for storage?
That's pretty good size. I say about that. It's pretty much the same size as the Rivian.
Okay, very nice. Front seats are all good and well, of course, but the rear seat is what matters. Also, I should just mention glove box, physical. Nice. Rivian. And back here, huge second row seat. The rear door opens at a huge angle as well, just to see how much room you have.
Right.
I think if the rear door can do almost a 90-degree, which this almost can, it kind of gets away with a lot of the things. Now, in terms of folding these seats, there's got to be a way. It's not apparent to me at the moment. Or John, it seems.
Maybe rear trunk area here?
Yeah, maybe in the rear trunk, the buttons.
Oh yeah, there's buttons right there.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, fancy Mercedes. Oh, look at that power, baby.
And look at them pulse.
Okay.
One.
And the left one doesn't want to go for some reason. So
Is that because the front seat's too far back?
Oh, it's pulling out. It says cannot fold second row, adjust front seat.
Yep.
Yep. So it gives you a little warning as to why. Now, I'm a fan of just mechanical, slam that thing down, shove the headrest into the front seat movement. But, getting in and out of the third row of this, I've done a video, so I'll insert my clip of the third row here. And now time for the third row test. Jordan, give us your backseat third row review.
Genuinely the best materials I've ever seen in a third row.
So nice materials.
Yep. USB-C everywhere.
And they're all 100-watt power delivery.
I could charge 4 16-inch MacBook Pros back here.
Yes.
And keep them warm. I don't know why you do that.
So I'm going to put this seat back now.
Okay.
Which I just push this little button, I imagine. And now the seat will go. So let's take a look. So the driver's seat is almost in the position where we left it. Okay, so it knows that you're back there and it stopped.
Really?
Yeah, so it's got all the angles. So I'm going to put the backrest back a little bit here.
Yep.
Let me know when you start to get crushed.
I'm good there.
All right.
That sounds good. Yep.
So that's maxed out. And how tall are you?
6 foot.
6 foot. Okay. Now I'm going to take a look as someone 6'1". The front seat again is adjusted for someone 6'1". and I actually fit here. I mean, I'm a little bit more forwards than I would like, but you could do it.
I could do. Now there can't be a 6-foot person next to me unless they have no legs.
Okay.
But I could do it.
But for kids, this would be no problem.
Yeah, this would be great for kids. Holy cow.
Yeah, or if you just have some friends you're taking cross town.
Yep.
Very good. Well, I think it passes the third row test better than I thought, actually. That's pretty impressive. And then I think we'll just click this little button, and then everything will slide forward.
How's the egress?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Not bad. Not bad.
Right, so that's usable. That's an actual usable third row. I really like that. To be honest, I can't remember what the third row is like. Hopefully I explained it well in the previous clip. I think I fit back there just fine, and this was plenty roomy in the back. I think the real downside is when you use the 3 rows, you have no room for anything. All right, now it's time to take a look at what everything looks like folded down in the back with full maximum trunk space availability. So let's take a look right here. We have a couple switches right off the bat that I'm finding. First time doing this. So what I'm gonna do is click these switches forwards, both of them, and you can see the right side's going. Let's hit the left side, there they go. And now they are automatically folding down. The front seats move forward. Take a look in here, Alyssa. You'll see everything's folding down in the second row. Now the third row hasn't folded. So I guess this one's for the headrests, would be my guess. And then this switch is to fold the rear seats down, I would think. Yep, there we go. And then you push this latch, super duper easy, totally flat load floor. In terms of ISOFIX, we'll get the car seats in here in a little bit, but you have the 2 outers, have the snap in. John, do you know if this middle seat has the hook? Yes, it does.
They all have tethers.
Yep, they all have that tether there, which is great. I think the EQS is probably fine if you have 1 or 2 kids. And I would say even if you get the 3 row, still probably fine for 1 or 2 kids.
Or older kids, where they don't need as much stuff. But yeah, you're really limited in what you can take with you, because there's no front storage. There's limited rear storage, especially with that third row that would, hypothetically be somewhere probably right about there.
Yeah, I would say.
So you got this much room, and then the problem is you can't take advantage of a deep storage space because it's right there.
I would also say in terms of interior materials and durability, this one is spec'd with like a fully white interior, which isn't great. But if you come around and just look at the material makeup itself, no question the Rivian has a much harder wearing, non-leather interior. Same with EV9.
Right.
Sort of the synthetic leather holds up really well. This is natural leather.
And I had my interior, we coated it, and I work in an automotive shop, so it's not uncommon for me to get grime that I don't know about and then get in the car, but everything so far is just cleaned up, no problem. So that's been working out great for me with the white seats, and it really helps in the summertime with it's easier to obviously cool white than it is black.
Yeah, I always recommend a light color interior, and especially a light color interior in Tesla or Rivian with those synthetic materials. Everything just comes right off of them. It's pretty amazing, which is great. So yeah, I would say this is the one. Older kids kind of makes sense. For young kids, I don't know, this feels a bit too delicate. Some people just won't care. This is just going to be their mom car and they'll destroy it and trade it in after the lease, I guess. Yep. Probably. So let's move on to the big boy. I think this is the car that Kia set out to build with only one goal in mind, which is to move a family electrically. I think that is really the main purpose. So, John, I want to get your impressions as an R1S owner, and then I'll have Nick share impressions of everything else as well. But let's just look at rear cargo space in this one.
I'll grab the stroller.
Yeah, let's do the stroller test for sure. My initial impression is even with the third row up, there's still quite a bit of room, but not enough. I want it to come out to here. I really want a Suburban electric.
No problems.
Great. And that's even without looking at the underfloor, which I don't remember how deep it is.
So much.
Maybe we can look in this one just because you have some stuff in there, Nick. But
Check it out.
okay, let's just see what we have going on here. So underfloor, nothing. Okay, that's kind of lame.
You get a little bit more storage room though.
Yeah, above for sure. There's also some like nice things that even the base car has, I'm noticing, which is kind of cool. So I have a 120 volt power outlet back here. You can fold the second and third row seats with a touch of a button, which is kind of cool. You've got, if you're camping in here, by the way, you can open up the trunk from in here, which is kind of nice, and a 12 volt. So you've got all the power, everything you need. I assume Nick's fully spec'd car has, yeah, same thing. It's really amazing how much value you get actually on the base car. The main reason to upgrade is for power, I would say. So yeah, just a few items, few things. That's actually the weakest underfloor storage of the bunch, but third row. So let's see what it looks like with the third row folded. And again, Nick went for the light color interior, so I'm looking forward to hearing his impressions of that. But I'm already noticing USB-C ports in the third row, 2 cup holders for each side, which is pretty incredible. It's just like so nice. And I have to mention roof air vents. Coleton, if you can show up in there, has the physical shades for the glass roof, can stay really dark in here, and it's got great HVAC for the family. Yeah. One downside of both this and the Mercedes though, no way to leave climate on without like kind of leaving the car on. This has utility mode, but there's really no practical way of locking it. So then you have to leave the car unlocked. And the Mercedes, you have to literally leave it on with the seatbelt fastened.
The vents are definitely nice, especially with children, because the problem is if you have a kid that's rear facing, like he does right now, and you have the vents like the Rivian, which are in that center console area.
Yeah, let's show that. Let's just show what you're talking about, because this is new for me. Rear facing, front facing. I know our audience understands, but I don't.
So he's front facing now, but if he's rear facing, seats like this, he's not getting any of that airflow.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So with having it there, it makes it really easy to give air where it's needed. This works fine now because he's front facing, but rear facing seats definitely have an issue with here with air. Obviously, there's no manufacturer supported way of blocking light. So heat gain can be a little bit of an issue.
Okay.
And the rear seats, the vent for them is okay. But again, it just lacks some of that adjustability that legacy manufacturer knows to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. Kia builds the Telluride, which is a hugely popular family SUV, and they were like, let's just make that electric, and it works so well.
I do like the storage pockets that the Rivian has, which are right in there, which is nice. The kids use that all the time to hide things.
Okay.
And their tablets on the trip just were in there. So
how deep do they go in the Rivian?
They actually go pretty deep.
Yeah, let's show that actually.
Obviously,
that's something I didn't know about up until we got this R1S test car.
Yeah, so you go.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I can fit my hand in there, so.
Yeah, that's great.
And then, of course, that's where the USB-C port is.
Okay.
So it worked really good for their tablets.
Are
to
there
charge
cup
them.
holders for the third row in this one, though?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right in front of that.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think Rivian's pretty good for families. In general, this has a bit more space. I'd love to get your impressions of the second row, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so captain chairs in the Rivian, I think, should be a upgradable option. Be awesome.
Okay.
Because it would eliminate some of the ease of getting kids in the back, because they could just walk in the center.
Actually, if you hop in there, you should take a look, because there's a couple more storage things as well. So you can pull this whole center situation out.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And then inside of there, there's like a storage.
Oh, nice. Is that shared with the front?
I think, I don't know.
Nope.
No, yeah, it's separate, right?
Yep.
Huh, that's pretty cool.
Yep. And then you get 2 cup holders there. And then I think you can even get an insert in between the seats, perhaps. Or at least an aftermarket one. And you also have cup holders in the doors. And coolest thing, is the only one here with cooled second row seats.
Super nice. This is also super nice for young kids. Rivian definitely doesn't have that. So it just helps keep the sun out of the younger ones' eyes, especially if you're, going somewhere and then on the way back, they're just getting blasted with the sun. That's definitely nice to have, especially with younger children.
I'm going to pull up the third row. I'd love to get your impressions of getting into the third row. Pulling up the third row, by the way, is as easy as just pulling the string and locking the seat in place. So when the seat was down, this is fully up. I just pull this and it slides right down, and I can pull the same thing all the way up, hold the seat in place, pull the headrest up, lock that there. Super nice.
Because this doesn't have a center seat and the captain's chairs, this is already easier. I don't necessarily need to have the seat out of the way because I literally can access them right here and just reach over the seat. And there's enough headroom here that if I was buckling her, I don't need the car seats to tell me that this is easier by far without even moving the seat.
And so this has full ISOFIX back here as well. There's actually only one trim level of the EV9. I think it's the land trim, or is it the wind trim that you get the bench?
I think it's the wind.
The wind.
Land also has the captain.
Yeah, and our base one has the captains. So a lot of people like captain's chairs. Alyssa with our dogs actually doesn't like them. Colton with your dogs, you do like them.
Love them.
So it's a personal preference thing, I think. I think captain's chairs are cool. And I'm pro them, but I know Alyssa's hardcore against captain's chairs. But it seems like it would be great for a family. And, you know, with 2 car seats here anyway, you're probably not fitting anyone in the middle of a bench.
And there's a lot of leg room here too.
And that's my seat.
So,
Oh, yeah, and that's for Nick, who's, how tall are you? 6'5".
and that's
Yeah.
with the front seat set at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of leg room here.
Yeah. So you could slide forward and then make more room in the third row
Okay.
for somebody.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more room. Probably 2-3 inches would be my guess.
Yeah.
You can get technical and figure it out.
Yeah,
for
there's
sure.
numbers online.
But this is what I was talking about with the vents. Super, super nice being able to direct those down at the kid rather than relying on it here. Obviously, he has a rear facing. So if it was here, you can see how that blocks the air from coming in and hitting the child versus up here.
So,
go ahead.
John, just a question for you. Would you prefer to not have like a screen, climate controls, and everything down there in the center console and have it up in the roof so the kids aren't kind of playing around with it? Do you have any preference either way on that?
Oh, I'd rather have this AC setup than down there. So if that required the screen to be removed, it's no big loss to me. Plus, doesn't do a whole lot down there. I mean,
Eventually they'll be able to watch videos in the Rivian on there, but I think kids would just use a tablet, right?
yeah. So we did that. We ended up just getting a roof mount suction cup, and then ran the iPad off of it, and then everybody, because especially with the seat gone, everybody could see the movie.
Yeah.
So that was beneficial on those 3-hour drives.
I'd love for you to hop in the front seat, and actually on your way, can we talk about getting into the third row? So there's a couple different ways this seat moves. So yeah, let's try that button right there.
Yep.
So does the Rivian auto slide forwards when you do that?
Yes.
Okay. Let me try that on this, just because I've got one right here with the thing. So I can do same button, same action, same thing happens here. Okay,
Yep.
very
Except
cool.
your opening's wider there. You can take tape measure, but it's definitely wider here to here.
Yeah, this has got almost way more room than that does to squeeze in, which is surprising.
This, yeah, this, because see, I can bend in all the way before I get stuck. Whereas if I do that, I
Yeah.
get stuck on
Okay.
my hip right here. So this is
And
what I mean when
Is
trying
that
to buckle
because this
them.
is a higher ride height? We could lower this down too?
You're still going to run into this.
Okay.
It's the same problem when you're trying, and part of the reason we took out the seat, when you're trying to load the kids back there, it's hard to get to that one on the other side. And if you have another kid over there where it limits the ability to move that seat,
Right.
then your only option is to stretch.
The only vehicle here, actually, the Model X 6-seat, is the only one that allows you to get into the third row without folding the seat, because that whole module moves as one,
Okay.
which is really cool in the 6-seat configuration Model X, which is a huge advantage for people with kids and car seats, because when you have a car seat in here, you can't, fold that
Right.
backrest.
Yeah,
But
unless they're
with
a
Tesla, you
booster.
can.
That's about the only time.
Booster, sure.
Yep.
But that is a huge advantage to Model X. If you can get full access to third row with a car seat in there. There's
So the other thing that I noticed, and it's just a pet peeve, is this seat is very easy to move back. It's one-handed. Now you can do that on the single seat on the Rivian, but where it comes into, it's still a little harder. Where it comes into play is on that double seat. It's just so heavy that for someone that's weaker, it's just a lot to move back. I don't think I could do it one-handed. Yeah, I can't.
And does the seat always stays at this very inclined angle?
Yep. If you want to fix that, you can hold this button and fix it,
Okay.
or you can do it from the side down here and then adjust it. But it's just a heavy seat to move. With our car seat configuration, this is the seat that has to move. It's just a pet peeve. I think having a bench would alleviate that, or not having a bench, having captain's chairs. But that would also eliminate the whole fold flat, camp in the car, some of that aspect. So I get why they did the bench. It's just, I think this seat should be easier to move.
Okay, good comments. This is things I don't think about when I'm like, how's the ABS feel under maximum braking? John, can you sit up front here? I'm going to sit in the other side. And again, I really feel like all of these cars have unique advantages and disadvantages, but this is already just screaming the whole time that this is built for families.
Yep.
There's a really cool function in this car that I want to share with you actually that might be useful since you always have a kid in the third row, which is if I pull down here, I can go to passenger talk, I can turn this up, and then it displays our voice all the way in the back at a microphone.
Yep. So our van had that.
Yeah.
It's really weird right now.
Yeah, I can turn it off. But
Yeah, so our van has that, and it's nice sometimes when the kids are fighting, rather than, do this and look back at them and trying to correct them, to just hit that button. We use it in the van. This is super spacious. I like the cup holder design.
the cup holders are cool. You can actually pop them out to get tighter ones. Super neat.
Does this go deeper?
Nope.
Nope.
So that's
okay.
the whole thing
Because
with
of
having
that.
this back here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Which for rear passengers is probably better. We don't use ours a whole lot except for like snacks with chocolate that are going to melt or something. This is still super nice, nice and
huge
open. It also has a nice lip to it, more so than the Rivian, so less likely to have stuff fly out of it. Good door pockets. Yeah, it's super spacious in here, and I like being able to block the sun.
On both front and rear. The rear is, I can hit this button, I think, and then Colton, if you look up, you'll see the shade will open electrically, which is really great.
And out of all the cars, we have all the AC on, every one of them buzzing, and this one isn't going much, and it's definitely one of the cooler ones that we've gotten in and out of. So
And, yeah, coolest and quietest, I would say. The other thing I should mention is your climate control. You always have a dedicated screen for climate here, and you have a dedicated rear adjustment as well. So you can control the rear separate from the front, which I think is really important. Most of these cars have that function, including the EQS. EQS is the only one with a 4-zone climate, so you can have individual climate for every seat. But this, I think, is a pretty stout cooling system. The only thing that the Tesla really has as a functional benefit from cooling over all the other cars is cabin overheat protection. That is the, I didn't know this, but apparently it's a real thing where people will forget their kids in a car. And which is I can't imagine leaving my dog in the car without remembering, but they're also running around. And the Tesla, you can say, never let the cabin get above 90, 95, 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not comfortable, but at least they won't die.
Right. It's just the caveat there is obviously battery usage, but
yeah, of course. Yeah, so that has more phantom drain, of course, when that's running, and it only runs for 24 hours after you stop the car.
Okay.
Then that system
and then
will
it
shut
shuts off.
off.
That's good.
Yep, but other things you can do, not that I think people leave their kids in a car, you probably should never do that. There's pet mode, but you can, both the Rivian and the Tesla have pet mode. That one you can actually monitor the interior camera remotely, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
So you can watch to see what's going on.
See what the kids are doing.
Dogs.
Dogs, yeah. Yeah. I'd be curious to know what you think of UI between all of them. The best thing I think for Teslas, and it's more of an annoyance for me, I like having that little center screen, which obviously the Model X that we're comparing to does, but I would assume that your opinion is, as far as navigation UI, that Tesla's obviously in the lead out of all these cars.
I don't know. I think Rivian's kind of catching up. I would say Tesla still has more robust functionality, keep climate, monitoring, cameras remotely. These are all things that are in the pipeline for Rivian. The thing that I feel is that Tesla has sort of stagnated a little bit on the software improvements. They've added so much more functionality than anyone else in the entire business. And, you know, of course, they're the most robust and the most feature rich. So I would say they're still in the lead. But like Wasim and the Rivian team are just pounding hard. We're getting updates all the time on our trucks. And like, I think I could see a future where Rivian surpasses Tesla. I think Tesla focus right now is on FSD and pushing, you know, autonomous functions, where Rivian's not really even thinking about that. I think Rivian's driver assistance is not good. In my opinion, it sways in the lane. It's annoying to use. Yep. But like from a functionality standpoint, they've got a great app. It's coming out. This is the worst by far. The Mercedes is really good. Once you if you're a tech person and understand how to use it, there's so much functionality in the Mercedes. There's a passenger display. It's a really robust screen, but then misses key features like there's no way to leave the climate on without leaving the seatbelt buckled. Whereas here you can at least go into utility mode and some other things. No question, Rivian and Tesla are in the lead with software compared to the existing automakers. Would you agree? What's your impression?
Yeah, so I mean, I think most people would be just fine with this. As far as usability, I definitely like I use pet mode, obviously, to keep the AC where I want it. You know, we're going to go to the lake for an hour. I don't want the car to be more than 74. Right. When it's, you know, like today it's 98 degrees. So we definitely use that. Beyond that, I mean, I really like the Rivian system. I think it works really well and it's easy to use. And even non-tech people can figure that out. Yeah. It's just, whereas I feel like the Tesla's a little bit more techy.
Okay.
I've never played with I've never played with the EQS software, so
that really have to be techy.
So I have no idea, but I think for ease of usability, this is going to feel at home for most people, just because it's very similar to most cars.
Which I would say is crap. My opinion. I think this is garbage, this system. I just think, okay, this is so confusing. Everything looks pretty much the same. There's like, if you want a precondition for a charging station, for example, you had to go to map in here, and then like this map, if already I don't know what all this is popping up as an example. So I go here and I say, let's look for EV charging stations, and then, you know, we're waiting and it shows me like AC chargers. And I'm like, I don't really care for that. So then you got to filter and you say, actually, I just want 150 kilowatt, which is now I'm in a sub menu, which in Rivian, it's just boom, which level do you want right there? Mercedes, which level do you want right there?
And does it save that setting, or do you have to redo it every time?
I'm not sure, to be honest. This isn't typically how I do it, but I just think you're working with this much screen at this point, where Rivian and Tesla, you got that massive display. You can zoom out. Mercedes as well does a great job of pinpointing. Here, I don't think it'll ever precondition to cool for a charging session. It just warms up. And I think Nick has this button. No, he must have this one stored for the EV menu. So you can do a manual precondition, which is nice. This is the only one here that you can do that with, actually. Some pros and cons, of course, but to me, this software is just not great. The app is cool, though. There's a lot you can do. They've put all the functions in this. It's just all scattered. There's none of it makes sense. Yeah. Where like Rivian's doing updates now where they're running like Unreal engines with cool graphics and everything's in like cool spots, and it's intuitive to me at least.
Right.
This is just splattered stuff everywhere.
Okay.
Hate to be so hard on Kia, but they built a great family car. But I think most people are just going to drive this and never touch this.
Never touch it and never go on.
Yeah, CarPlay it and that's it.
Yep. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, well, let's get Nick's opinion on all this. Thank you, John. Really appreciate
you're welcome.
it.
Yeah, I really liked this one. There's a lot of space in here. It didn't look like such a big car from the outside, but you've got a significant amount of space on the inside, which was really neat.
Yep.
Tesla had a lot of space as well, and I wasn't expecting that from the last time that we had seen it. So that was a lot of space too for a smaller looking car on the outside.
Previously saw Model Y.
Yes.
It's Model X.
Yes.
So we saw a 7-seater Model Y, and she was like, nope.
7-seater Model Ys are just like the third rear row is just.
It's non-existent. Yeah.
But
yeah, I was a big fan of the Kia. It was pretty cool.
The Kia, I think, is one of the most interesting because it looks quite small, but the interior space is
You've got a lot of
quite
space
large.
And
except for you don't have front trunk under here, not great rear storage.
True.
Well, that's usable.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't even show the front trunk. Kyle's running up here.
That's right. We forgot about that. The baby front trunk.
Baby front
The tablet. Laptops. Excuse me,
Yeah.
laptop.
A few
laptop
laptops in
storage.
here.
Wait. Look how huge it is now.
Wow.
Our rear wheel drive goes deeper.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not
Huh.
much.
Oh, because of the motors and the packaging.
Not touching on this one, please.
So if you had to pick one between all of them,
Like aside from the Rivian, probably the Kia. There's a lot of space.
Would
I
you
mean, it
pick-
only has the 4 seats versus the other having 5, but I felt like there was a lot of space on the inside of it.
so
You are-
between the EV9 and the Rivian, what would you choose?
Can you take these seats out?
No.
Probably stick with Rivian then. I think that's a pretty cool feature to be able to take the seats out. There's a lot of space
So
here.
if we couldn't take that seat out,
take the seat out, probably this one.
okay,
Kia, yeah.
because not everybody's going to know or want to do that.
Remove the seats.
To remove
sure.
the seat.
Yeah, this would be nice. I mean, if both girls were able to buckle themselves, then they could just go through,
Go
the middle and buckle
Sit in the
themselves
seat
there.
and act like you were going to buckle.
Here, sis, can you scoot back? Mama's gonna get in here really quick.
Hey, Liza, will you come back here? And
Having it
back
be
here.
forward, I mean, same amount of space as the Rivian. I feel like where it's easier to almost get in to
Yeah, but
buckle them.
Sit in the seat and act like you were going to do it.
But if we were gonna get in,
Mommy, where's that baby?
I mean, it'd be easier to go from the side. Because either way, you're gonna end up on the floor here trying to get them. It is a baby seat for a baby.
Can you open
All right now.
it? Who isn't?
It's for another baby.
So you seem to like the captain seats quite a bit, John.
I do like the captain's chairs. I mean, that center seat is, so small. It's not really usable. You're not going to put realistically 3 adults across the center. You're just going to put 2. Yeah, with young kids, you could fit 1 more kid in there, assuming everybody's out of child seats. But
You want to use it?
the use cases go realistically go down versus captain's chairs. Just allows a lot more
This
flexibility,
car is not
space
gas.
requirements, and more room. But also, you remove that,
Take it
you
up.
lose the ability to fold the floor flat to put a bed or go camping inside the car. I get some of the aspects behind it. I also think that you could put captain's chairs and jerry rig something with wood to make the same scenario happen. But if off-roading and power wasn't that important to me, especially off-roading, this checks most of the boxes. I do like my Rivian's software suite.
Yeah, Rivian software's gotten so
I
And-
good.
want to make one last point. Sorry, I'll just go into this mic. The Model X 6-seat does have captains. They don't fold flat.
Okay.
They just do that because you can retain that car seat movement. But the 7-seat configuration does fold flat.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice to see that in the 7-seat or 6-seat, just to get a better idea of what it actually looks like. I still think it's one of the lower amount of storage. Obviously, the EQS is the worst.
Which I thought this would be really good because looking in, it feels huge.
Oh yeah,
But it's because we don't have the third row in this one.
or the front trunk.
Or the front trunk. The front trunk's the big one.
Yep.
Can we put the third row down in this R1S and compare it to the EV9 over here? Because I think that'd be really interesting to see.
By the way, this takes a second to open sometimes.
Yeah, it sometimes does that weird, like it pops up and then it doesn't move and then it's like, ooh.
Sometimes
Yep.
it just goes wham up.
Yeah.
I've never seen any other car do that. So this is R1S, underfloor, not much.
Well,
So this has,
the-
well, John's does because
Yeah.
he took that out. Does this have, yep, this
This
has
has
a
a
spare in it. So you can take that out, of course. And then you can do, this situation's a little weird, I would say, for me, having this, it's not quite flat, but now it's more flush. What do you guys think, John, between size of this and size of EV9 back seats down?
I think they're about the same.
They do look quite similar.
Yeah, I would say this almost feels wider.
Yeah, I would agree.
We could get measuring tapes out.
Yeah.
The info's
Yeah.
on the website.
Yeah.
But ultimately, these all work for families. I think this is the clear
choice overall so far. I'd like to get Nick's opinion. Nick, you are a father of one child with a rear-facing seat, which is tougher than the bigger car seats.
Correct. Takes up a lot of space.
We were planning on shifting car seats. Maybe we can use yours to just place them in. So let's do that. And while we're doing that, I'd love to get your impressions of each car from a dad.
Yeah, so this one is on the side here.
Yeah, dude, you got to watch your head with these trunks. I can I can go right underneath it. You can't.
It's definitely quite a bit lower. So what's super nice is like that this opens so far. So like you have just so much space to just access your car seat. So we have one of those swivel ones, which is super easy to just take out. But what's taking up space is this base. And what's been really nice with the EV9 is that I can actually sit in the passenger seat. I was not able to sit in the passenger seat in my car before.
Which was
a BMW X5.
Yeah.
And
that's
I would
a big
always
car.
have to, if my wife was driving, I would have to sit in the back seat.
Okay, crazy.
So that was kind of funny. Yeah, but we can take this one out.
So the base just goes right into the ISOFIX.
Yeah,
point
exactly.
there?
Goes
Okay.
right into the ISOFIX, and then you kind of have to level it out, which is also nice on the EV9 is like I didn't have to put, because when they're really little, they have to be in like a more like laying position. So in the X5, I had to put a towel under this so it's a little elevated. Here, the seat is like kind of adjustable a little bit with the backrest and all that, that you don't need a towel under it. So like it just fits perfectly and it just levels.
Let's do the Model X because the Model X, I feel like maybe in this video we haven't done a great job explaining. This is the same seat in the middle as the 5 and 7 passenger version. The 6-seat configuration is a different middle seat that is a really cool captain's chair. But does not have an adjustable backrest angle like this does.
Loosen this a little bit.
And it's important to note, because I feel like we have to say this, we're not actually putting any kids in the cars when Nick buckles up the seat. I know there's like a whole mom thing where you have to be like a certified car seat installer. No kids are going in, demonstration purposes only. High five from Alyssa on that one. I'm glad I remember that.
Do you find a difference getting in between cars of like how the ISOFIX points are? Are they easier between cars? Some can be more of a pain in the butt.
Yeah, this one was a little bit of a squeeze. You like kind of had to like really push in and like find it. It's like the little sticker shows you where it is, so that's always helpful. But it's a little bit easier there because the gap between the backrest and the seat is a little bit, it's not as snug as here.
Okay.
Can you sit in the driver's seat? Let's see if you fit with the seat, because that was the...
Well, you probably want to put your seat in here first, Nick.
All right.
But the doors, your impression?
The door is really nice. Just like I can stand here. Like maybe not with my sunglasses on, but I can stand here. And this is obviously even nicer than that, because you don't have any door in the way. Like you just, you just
getting
have
into the
straight
third row,
access.
all that room when this was up there.
Yeah, I would definitely say like if you need to get into a third row here, then this whole space, just having this cutout is going to be super nice. So like you definitely hit your head if you're like a little bit bigger. Let's see.
Let's see if you fit, because it looks like you're kind of maxed out at the moment.
Can I go back a little bit?
Just like a ½ inch. Now you're touching.
Yeah, this is already like a little tight here with my leg is like pretty angled. So I would want to be a little bit further back.
Yeah, and because this is the 5-seat, I don't think this second row slides like on the 7, but it is as far back as I think it would go.
Yeah, it's okay. Like I could drive like this, but you definitely have more space in the EV9, a little bit more room to adjust for sure.
Okay, good to know. Let's move to EQS.
That comes out pretty quick.
This one?
Yeah.
Car seat review.
It's the
next.
Yeah, the swivel is super nice, especially when you're in tighter spaces and you just like need to navigate it out of the door.
I can carry this one over. There's no
Look at
baby
this
in
guy.
here, right?
Nope.
No liability there, Kyle.
Okay, see you later.
So usually like what we do is put the seat in the back seat behind the passenger seat.
Okay.
Because then as a driver, you can see, we have this like little mirror in the EV9. You can actually look into your mirror and like use that backseat mirror to see your baby. So
So do you want to put it in the other side here?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But then you like,
What if you have 2 small ones?
then yeah,
And you're
like if you
6'5".
want to see how much space there is after the kind of driver, then
Yeah, that's what I think is
wanna put it here.
worst case scenario here,
Yeah.
which would be having twins, in my opinion.
So how does this work? Oh, you fold this up. Okay, this folds up. So this is kind of odd. So like you would have to push this against. Okay.
Oh yeah, so you need to have a really long reach there?
So like I can push these in like really easy. Right? Like they're very visible from that point of view, but I don't know about this like flap because that would just get squished.
You're having to fight
need
that
a-
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just need a little bit more slack to because I had it so tight in the Tesla. So now I can pull it tight. And then
this is just
this goes, like,
demonstration purposes
against
only
here.
before people sue us, because I think you
So that's
actually-
kind of odd.
people care about that.
Well, is it Nick a professional
Yeah, Nick's a professional.
baby seat installer?
That's right. Did you go to the class, Nick?
Yeah, I did actually a
Oh,
class
okay.
at the hospital, yeah, with a car seat professional. So I really had a hard time like pulling this like tight with this flap here. So I would have to pull this even more tight because right now it's just sliding all over. So I don't know.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. So what helps if you have like a little bit of a mat under this because the leather seat is obviously very slick, but still like it shouldn't move that much. So you probably have to put something under here. Because you see this gap here, like it doesn't really go all the way against the backrest.
Okay, let's look at space.
That's a little odd.
That's odd. And it could be, I just want to make it clear, Nick is not actually a professional car seat installer. It could be on us. Don't sue us.
So now like you see I can't move back that far. So
Yeah, but
we'll
I
see.
think the seat is pretty far back
that's good.
based off looking at it. Now you'll notice the seat belt's already fastened. That's just how we have to leave the climate on.
Oh,
And it's
boy.
right here on
Okay,
the
I do
door.
need to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
How's that look?
You're pretty much maxed out back here.
So I would almost say a little bit worse than the Tesla
Wow.
because you have this curve here and my knee is like right against it. So I don't think I could drive for a very long time like this.
Okay, so if you have two reverse facing car seats
Yep.
and you're a big dude, the EQS is not the car for you.
I wouldn't say so.
Does the massaging seat function sway you?
I mean, I have massaging seats in my EV9. too.
That's amazing. My car is so good. All right, let's do Rivian now. I'll get this one all prepped. Okay, this seat's all the way back at the moment. This is probably the least exciting comparison test I've ever done.
I think it's pretty interesting, though.
Yeah, I mean, these are things I've never thought about. I hope our viewers appreciate this, because we could be up doing a rustic ring towing test. We could be on track doing a drag race.
We could be sideways.
We're looking at car seats, brother.
It's real consumer testing right here.
This is actually what matters to most people in a car, believe it or not.
There we go.
So ISOFIX points immediately look easier on that, Nick.
Yeah, this is very similar to EV9, I would say. I just had to like look where they are.
Okay.
But once you know where they are, clicks right in, super easy. And then this, you see, like goes straight to the seat. Like if you compare this to the EQS, you have this gap, and here you just like pull it straight against, and then this one like tightens it even more, and then there's like barely any movement. Like I could even pull it a little tighter, and then let's see with the car seat in it.
And I think this is where the R1S is going to struggle, Coleton, from
Yep.
what I remember
So
last time.
this is already rubbing.
Yeah. So I'll move the seat up a little bit, or is it? Did you get it to lock in?
I can probably, I don't want to scratch the seat.
Yeah, it's
but
okay. I'll just push it. How about now?
Yeah,
Okay.
that works.
So see if you fit in there, because I remember this when we did it with John and his family and the R1S review. This was the problem.
So I do have a little bit more space on the knee, and obviously like a higher ride position. Let's see if I can go down a little bit.
No, not you never can get low
Nope.
enough.
Nope.
So this I would have to move up for sure. I'm
Yeah.
like sitting very close to it.
That can move up and forwards as well.
But then same thing with the knee. Like I have like this much space between my knee and the like the wood trim. Okay. Right here. So that's certainly like if you have two kids with rear facing car seats, that's going to be hard.
Now, the only thing we haven't done was put it behind the driver's seat in the
Yeah.
EV9. So one last time for science. Sorry, Nick.
No,
And
you're
thank
good.
you, Nick.
Luckily we have a light one and then pretty easy to put in and out.
Everyone say thank you to Nick in the comments for putting car seats in all these things. This is, again, worst case scenario car seat, rear facing behind a 6'5" driver. But that's the point here. This is worst case. If you're small people, none of this will be a problem. But
Nick, is this like the biggest size seat you're gonna have ever really back there? Like the rear facing seat?
Probably. I think there are some like that are, this is like an infant carrier thing. And then there's a seat that you have to get into like after.
Okay.
They can become pretty big too, especially when they're rear facing. So you have that seat that we saw earlier, but it would be like rear facing and then this whole backrest would stand like all the way here.
Oh, wow.
So that's also definitely something to consider. But yeah, like obviously here, I know, okay, where are the ISOFIX ones? Just need to get a little bit of slack here.
Yeah, this one's cheater. You've done this a few times.
Yeah. Just need to get some slack. There we go. I'm gonna slide this in on the other side.
I can already tell you the roof air vents are so nice.
They are really nice.
That to me sells me on the EV9.
Yeah, especially, I mean, us for the dogs is a big deal.
Yeah.
And especially Alyssa is always very concerned about rear airflow and things like that.
I don't know if you heard what John was saying, but the third row in the wintertime does not get warm in the R1S.
Really?
Yeah. Until like the front cabin has to be really hot for it to pull that hot air back.
Huh.
So now I'm just gonna put it to my like driver position. Let's see. It doesn't even touch it.
Really? I'll roll
There's
down
still
the
a
window
little
so
bit of a
everyone
gap.
can see. So that's your 6'5" driver
Yeah.
position.
And
we're
if
not
I
even-
start the car, the seat even, you know, it
hop
has
in.
this.
Let's show everyone your
entry.
room. Just so people can visually
So
see.
this is an
oh,
entry
dude.
move here? Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah. So if I now start the car, so this drives back a little bit into like a easy.
Yep, but it's still not touching.
Nope.
Because it kind of tilts forward a little bit too. So now like this will go into like into a driver position.
But it might
And
be
then-
weird because we just had it in utility mode. But either
Yeah.
way, both positions that it went to didn't touch.
It works. And that's my usual, like even if I drive without the child seat, I would drive like this.
Wow.
So no sacrifice in any way.
Okay, so
So that's a big deal for sure.
I feel like we've talked about a lot in this video now. We've looked at car seats fitting in each one of them. We've looked at climate performance, or at least mentioned it in each of the vehicle. We've talked about seating configurations where this can get a bench or captain's chairs, Rivian a straight bench, Mercedes a straight bench, and Tesla offers you both. Nick, as someone with one kid, potentially another one day in the future, more kids coming, what do you feel happy about your purchase? Is this the one you would go with, or could you squeeze into a Rivian? I think the Rivian's cooler. I think the Rivian's the coolest one here. No
I agree.
question.
I am in love with Rivian a little bit. And I definitely considered a Rivian as well. But this one was just like, the deal was great. They had this right on the lot. We really fell in love with the color and the design. It's really unique, similar to some of the other EVs here. They look very unique. And I think, yeah, so far we're really happy. It's a 2-year lease, so not very much time. So like if we don't happen to like the car as much, we could just give it back and get into something else, right?
Yeah.
So
But would you consider an ID Buzz, with the sliding doors? or
I'm
something
really
like that?
excited to see that one. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm really excited to see it. When I was a kid, I remember the VW buses were the coolest thing when you had kids, because in Europe you can like swivel the seats and stuff like that in the multivans. That was always the coolest thing. So
And
I'm
not
really
legal in
looking
the
forward
US
to it.
though. We don't get the swivel.
I
We don't
know.
get the cool trays.
Yeah.
All that
But
stuff.
they're still cool, and they're super great for camping if you want to
Yeah.
car camp. So I'm really excited to see that one too. So I'm really excited for anything that comes out in the future here, obviously like a limited selection, but it's a good selection right now. So.
Yeah. So out of all the ones, because this is literally every big 3-row on the market, which
Yep.
one to you wins?
To me, this wins just for the space.
Yeah,
If
I
you're
would agree.
looking for a family vehicle, like space is the thing that counts first. When you have stroller, luggage, all this stuff, we also have a dog, right? You also need to have space for the dog sometimes. And like with the captain's chairs, she can just lay in the middle on the floor, which is perfect while you have luggage in the back.
Yeah. So my impression from someone who doesn't have kids, I would say if you can squeeze your life into an R1S, that's the coolest choice. Best software, or great software, I should say. Off-road ability, like that's just the one thing that can do a bunch.
Yep.
This is clearly just built straight for families. That passenger talk function, rear cooled seats. You know, if you just have kids and that's all you care about is just getting your kids around, this is the one.
Yep.
You can pre-chill it from the app ahead of time or pre-warm it in our case. And then the Tesla actually I think would be my third choice. So I would say EV9 for me takes first place, R1S a very close second place, but the
Yep.
space makes this eke out.
I would agree.
I would say Model X with the 6 and 7 seat configuration, especially the 7 seat, because you get the availability or the ability to fold down, you know, the entire back of the vehicle. I would say the 7 seat Model X takes the cake. Although if you just don't need the storage space, the 6 seat's really cool. My dad had the 6 seat in his
Yep.
Model X Plaid. Those second row captain's chairs, really neat. But I think this is just lacking on some of the space in the back, and also, I don't know, Model X, this just feels small. Like a lot of people just want a big mom car, a big dad car, and that's what the other ones offer. And then I think in last place is the Mercedes EQS SUV. And the EQS SUV is, you know, this is a luxury car. If you are, you know, maybe have a little bit older kids who are not going to damage the interior, this still has plenty of room for like a person in the second row. Lots of room. The third row, I fit in the third row in this car.
Yeah.
I still think it's a wonderful, wonderful vehicle, but it just doesn't feel that family friendly.
You know what this is? I think this is a perfect car for grandparents. If they want to take out
There
their
you go.
kid or like their grandchild for like a little day trip, I think it's perfect. But they have the comfort of a Mercedes, right? Like that's probably the buyer's group for it.
Yeah.
With the white interior and everything, it just feels so nice.
Yeah.
I almost would feel bad to put a little child in there and like, I don't know, they rip up the leather or something, but I think for grandparents, that's like the perfect hauler.
Yeah. So I think we'll end it with Coleton, EV9 number 1.
Yep.
R1S number 2,
Yep.
Model X number 3, and EQS number 4.
Yep.
Those are all the available big ones on the market today. I can't wait to do this again in 6 months or 1 year
Yep.
with some real big boys coming on the market. So stay tuned. Let us know if you like these videos. Let us know if there's different categories you want us to focus on. Like we mentioned, we're all guys. We like to drive fast and talk about handling and ABS brake feel and powertrains, and not so much this, but I think in order for us to review cars properly, this is what will truly make a buying decision for a lot of people. And this is our best shot at it. So I hope you guys appreciate that, and don't roast us too hard in the comments for not being super 100% knowledgeable on kids. Nick is the most knowledgeable out of us here. John and his family, a huge thanks to them for coming, and we'll see you on another one again soon. Bye-bye.